A helping hand, the history of federal aid, America, land of opportunity, home of the brave, and, let's face it, a place where sometimes you need a little help from your friends, or in this case, your government. Federal financial assistance programs have been around for ages, like that weird uncle who shows up at Thanksgiving with a casserole no one asked for. But unlike that casserole, these programs are actually helpful. We're talking about things like welfare, food stamps, and housing assistance, programs designed to give folks a leg up when times get tough. The New Deal, that whole Roosevelt-era shebang, really kicked things off. The Great Depression had everyone down in the dumps, and the government stepped in to provide jobs, support farmers, and generally keep the country afloat. Fast forward to the 60s, and LBJ's Great Society brought us Medicare and Medicaid, ensuring health care for seniors and low-income families. Over the years, these programs have been tweaked and adjusted, with some folks saying they're the safety net America needs, while others argue they create dependency. Regardless, one thing's for sure, millions of Americans rely on these programs to put food on the table, keep a roof over their heads, and get back on their feet. They're a fundamental part of the American social contract, a promise that we'll look out for each other, even when times are tough. Uncle Sam needs a timeout, the pause explained. So here's the deal. The White House has decided to hit the pause button on some of these federal aid programs. Think of it like when your buddy's Netflix account gets suspended because too many people are using it. Except instead of binge-watching Stranger Things, we're talking about essential services that people rely on. Not exactly lighthearted entertainment, folks. Now it's not a complete shutdown of every single assistance program. But it's a significant enough pause to cause some serious concern. We're talking about programs like SNAP, that's food stamps, for those playing the acronym game at home, and TANF, temporary assistance for needy families. These are lifelines for millions of Americans, and suddenly they're being pulled taut. The announcement came as a shock to many, like finding out your favorite late-night host wears Crocs when the cameras aren't rolling. It's left a lot of people scrambling, wondering how they're going to make ends meet. State governments, already stretched thin, are now facing a surge in demand for assistance, with no guarantee of federal support. Why hit the brakes? The White House reasons. Okay, so why the sudden freeze-out on federal aid? Well, the White House has offered up some explanations, kind of like when you tell your dog you ate all their treats, even though they clearly saw you drop some behind the couch. The main argument? The economy's doing great. Unemployment is down, the stock market's up, and everyone's apparently swimming in cash. The implication being, of course, that people don't need this assistance anymore. They should just pull themselves up by their bootstraps, preferably while wearing a monocle and sipping champagne. Another reason given is the need to cut government spending and reduce the deficit. You know, that old chestnut. It's like blaming your overflowing laundry basket on the dryer shrinking your clothes. Sure, it's technically possible, but let's be honest, you're just bad at laundry. Of course, critics are quick to point out that this pause disproportionately affects the most vulnerable Americans, those living in poverty, struggling families, and people with disabilities. It's like taking away the life vests on a sinking ship and telling everyone to just tread water. Section 4, feeling the pinch impacts on people and the economy. So, what does this pause actually mean for everyday Americans? Well, for millions it means facing impossible choices. Do you pay rent or buy groceries? Do you fill your prescriptions or keep the lights on? These aren't hypothetical questions for many families, they're the harsh realities of living paycheck to paycheck, or in this case, assistance check to assistance check. Food banks are already seeing an uptick in demand as families struggle to put meals on the table. Homelessness, a problem that already plagues many cities, is likely to worsen, and the ripple effects will be felt throughout the economy. When people have less money to spend, businesses suffer, leading to potential job losses and slower economic growth. It's a vicious cycle, like that time you tried to cut your own hair and ended up looking like a sheepdog. Just me? This pause also puts a strain on state and local governments. They're now tasked with filling the gap left by the federal government, all while facing their own budget constraints. It's like asking a friend to borrow $1 when you know they're already scrounging for bus fare.